Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I am the Twisted Jedi, and today we are back with another podcast. We're going to be talking about all things Star Wars, Battlefront 2 YouTube channels, clickbait, and some other channels that we have been watching. I am joined, of course, by my good friend Lethal Lightning. How you doing, mate?
I am well, and we also have a very special guest tonight. Do you want to introduce him?
Yep, absolutely. We are joined by one of the biggest up-and-coming YouTube channels, has exploded in recent times, just past 1,000 subs, and well on his way to 2,000. Welcome, Sammyboiii. How you doing?
Thanks, guys. How are we all today? How's everyone going?
Good. So today we're going to talk a little bit about all things Star Wars, like I mentioned in the intro, some news channels, Battlefront 2 channels, lore, and some of the people that we've been watching or that we enjoy watching, and just growing a channel and YouTube in general. So we're going to start off with the different types of channels. So I think news is probably the best place to start, just Star Wars news in general. What are your thoughts, Lethal, on that?
Well, when it comes to Star Wars news channels, there is quite a variety out there. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of people tend to tell news based on their own preferences. Like you have people that prefer, say, the prequel trilogy, and they tend to tell more news about the Clone Wars. So you go through their channels, and lately it's just all Clone Wars, Clone Wars, Clone Wars. But I think what most people try and do, and it's very difficult, is keeping up to date with absolutely everything in Star Wars, because Star Wars grows every week. You know, we get a new comic, there's a whole lot that gets added to Star Wars constantly. And news can also mean anything from, like, old interviews with old EU writers and stuff they had planning. Like, I only found out recently that there was a different ending for Legacy of the Force planned. But one of my favourite news channels that I like to watch personally is... well, he's not really much of a news channel anymore, but he's kind of changed a fair bit. It's Stupendous Wave. He's done a bit of lore. He does a bit of stuff as well, but I think he's really good at telling news while adding to lore. But what about you, Sammyboiii? What do you think of news channels?
Yeah, he's another one that I actually I've probably started watching in the last few months or so, and I find him pretty, like, a lot of them do, you know, they have a lot of clickbaity stuff, and a lot of them have turned from, like, good channels to not bad channels, but, you know, they've sort of changed their priorities a little bit. So he's one of the ones that seems to be not so much like that, which is, like, sort of what I look for in those channels.
Yeah, I think the only negative thing to him is he pumps out that free lightsaber giveaway stuff, which I am completely
Every video.
Look at his comment section. It's just free lightsaber giveaway. They don't even talk about his video. They just talk about the lightsaber they want.
Yeah.
But now, as well,
it seems like a lot of channels do that these days, to be honest.
I can't stand it. I can't stand it personally.
It's all about getting those impressions and driving up the views.
Now, I'm against that. Like, it doesn't, especially for him, who's a bit more of a lore channel. We'll go into lore channels soon. You want people discussing it, like, you know, you want their thoughts on it. Like, he uploaded one recently talking about Revan's holocron. And, like, man, it's Revan. Like, Revan's one of the most, like, badass characters in all Star Wars, and one of the most talked about characters in all Star Wars. And every comment was just, "Oh, can I please have a Kylo Ren lightsaber?"
Yeah, no one, half of them probably didn't even know who Revan was, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh god. But now, as well as that, there's also, I think you two would probably be more into this one, like the Battlefront channels.
Yeah, 100%. I think talking about Battlefront channels, like, there's got to be thousands of us, but, you know, to get discovered as a Battlefront YouTuber, you have to be doing something different. You have to be creative a little bit, especially because one thing that I've noticed is, at the moment, especially with a bit of a dry patch for news or updates, like right now we don't really have anything going on social media or anything like that. So you've got to get creative on the content you're making. You know, a lot of channels I see recently are just giving up or taking a break, as they say. And I just think it's a bit silly. Like, you can still make videos on Battlefront 2. You just got to get creative and do something that you wouldn't need news or updates to do. So,
and I think Sammy will
I agree with that.
A good way around that.
Well, yeah, that's sort of that's actually what I try to do with the channels, because when I started, I was thinking, like, I was looking through all the channels and I thought, like, wow, there's so many, like, that you got to compete with. So I thought, try and do something different so that it's not, you know, why would someone watch my news videos over Battlefront updates or something like that? You know what I mean? So that's sort of the whole reason I've sort of gone that way, which it is slowly working, which is good. But yeah, you're spot on, Twisted. There's just so much competition out there, so you definitely do have to do something different.
Yeah, it's really stiff competition. And like you said, you know, you've got to compete as a newer Battlefront YouTuber for someone who, myself and you included, who didn't have it, like happen to have a channel when Battlefront 2015 was thriving. You know, we only sort of started with the release of Battlefront 2, or even you more recently with Battlefront 2 after playing for a few months.
Yeah.
It's so much harder to go up against the big dogs. You know, you've got like Elliot from Battlefront Updates, you've got Star Wars HQ, you know, you've got the big channels like that have been doing it for so long and have already built up such a big fan base. You have to do something different and test the limits and push the boundaries to actually get noticed. And I think that's something that you and I have been lucky enough to stumble into. You know, I had a big surge of subscribers a few months ago, and to the point where it got me into the Game Changers program. And you know, you're just experiencing that now. This is the start of your surge. You just pumped up like, you know, maybe I think 800 to 1,000 subscribers in the last month or two. So
yeah, I think it's been like 700 or something in the last month, which is crazy.
Damn.
A lot of it, I mean, a lot of it is luck too, because that was just one video that kind of just shot up.
Just blows up. Yeah.
That's all it takes.
And that's how it happens. That's how it happens. Yeah.
There's also another type of channels, and these ones I tend to get a bit more involved with, and those are lore channels. Being a bit of a, I guess you could say I'm a bit of a Star Wars freak. Like, I read a lot of stuff. I research a lot of stuff. I've pretty much finished Thrawn Alliances, and that's still, I'd say it's brand new still. Do you have any particular lore channels you like to discuss? Because there's a few I want to get into, but I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on lore channels.
I'll let Sammy go first on this one.
I used to, when I was like starting, just probably around the time like the Last Jedi like hype was building up, was when I started getting heaps into the lore. I don't really that much anymore, but the ones that sort of, the two biggest ones, I guess you would say, is, well, not even the biggest, but the ones that were always popping up for me was Star Wars Theory and Star Wars Explained. And like when I first found them, I really enjoyed them both. But then now, like looking through a lot of the other ones, they've sort of gone that same way of like they're clearly in it. A lot of it anyway is for just trying to get views, and they do all the lightsaber giveaways and stuff like that. So I have turned away a little bit, but I do still enjoy watching their stuff. I'll sort of, when something interesting pops up, I'll watch it, but I'm not at the point where I'm watching like every video anymore anyway.
Yeah, well, one thing with Star Wars Theory, he managed to get really big in between Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and a lot of that was to do with Snoke stuff. Like, we all wanted to know who Snoke was, and he was coming up with these crazy theories, and some of them are pretty good, to be honest, but you know, none of them ended up being true, and that's kind of what got him to where he was. But
yeah, I think that's actually probably how I found him, to be honest. It might have actually been, you're probably right, it was probably just after Force Awakens came out that I started sort of getting into all that stuff.
And in terms of Star Wars Explained, I quite like his channel, but I know what you mean. Recently, he's been doing a lot of stuff that doesn't really appeal to many people. Like, I can understand some of the things he does, but some of them are just a little bit like scraping the bottom of the barrel a little bit. But that's perfectly fine, because that's where you'll find some stuff that you never knew about, which is good, I reckon. But a while ago, he used to be Star Wars Minute, where he would just cover a good topic in 1 minute. And I think that was when his channel was really, really good, because the fact that they were only 1 minute, the first time I found his channel, I watched about 20 of his videos, just one after another, just kept clicking next, next, next. And that was pretty good, because he would just tell the whole life of a certain character in under a minute. And I think it being under a minute is what attracted a lot of people. But what about you, Twisted? What lore channels do you watch?
Yeah, like obviously, like Sammy said, Star Wars Explained and Star Wars Theory tend to dominate the search and be the first ones that come up. Not just in recommended videos, but also when you're actually searching for something. So I used to watch them a lot as well, but I tend to look for different channels to watch nowadays. And there's been two other really good ones that I've actually stumbled across, and you've probably heard of them, Lethal being a big lore guy. One is the Lore Master.
Yep, he's good.
Yep, yeah. So I watch him a fair bit, and you know, I just like what he does with his channel, and most of his videos are pretty good. He doesn't pump giveaways or anything too much, so he's pretty straight to the point with the stuff that he is and that he's doing. And the other one is actually one that I don't know if a lot of people have heard of for someone who has so many subs, and that's the Scoundrels Cantina.
I love Scoundrels Cantina. He does a lot of work with Boofire, and I think Boofire is one of the best in the game as well. But Scoundrels Cantina,
absolutely.
Man, they're so good.
The thing I like about Scoundrels Cantina is that they do a lot of Knights of the Old Republic, like Old Republic era stuff.
Yeah, because they're like me, they don't like canon.
Yeah. But yeah, one thing I've started really getting into is that Old Republic era just more recently, you know, with reading the Old Republic novels and things like that and just getting into it more in general.
So
and you know, there's a really, really good video on Satele.
Oh,
and I think that's
Satele.
Probably...
God bless Satele.
Yeah, that was probably one of the first videos I saw from Scoundrels Cantina, and ever since then I always go back to their channel and check out what they've been doing. So yeah, really good channel over there.
Yeah, the ones that I really like, apart from the ones that are named already, is I am a big fan of Boofire's channel. I love his discussion videos. He does like video essays, but he's kind of turned off Star Wars at the moment with everything that's happening in Lucasfilm. I can't really blame him in that regard. But there's also another one that I swear this channel deserves 100 million subscribers, and that's Star Wars Reading Club. That channel is absolutely 100% phenomenal. Agree. I've actually had to unsubscribe from him for this week because of Thrawn Alliances coming out, and I don't want any spoilers because you know, he is all about Grand Admiral Thrawn. It's his picture. It is his picture.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
So I've just had to steer clear of him for a while, but as soon as I get back, I'm going to go through and watch all his videos. And he's going to have some real good ones on Thrawn in there. And just talking about, when we're talking about Stupendous Wave before, I remember a while back, not long after Solo came out in the cinema, there was this thing going around about how Exar Kun was canon, and he made a video talking about how Exar Kun was canon. Like, we all make mistakes, it's not really a big deal. But I did see that video, and I did make a comment going, this is actually... And because I had made a video myself around that time talking about how it was a misconception, and I was just engaging in people in the comment section, and I said, look, I've made a video about it, you can check it here. I ended up getting like 3 subscribers from that, so I was very, very happy with that. So that was all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things happen with lore channels. I mean, Star Wars is so expansive and so huge that you're guaranteed to make a mistake here and there. So
yeah, exactly.
But now there is, you know, on the subject of collab, there's a few that really, really stand out. I mean, I'm sure you can think of some Battlefront channels that really stand out.
There's some obvious Battlefront channels that I think everyone knows. I'm not going to publicly name anyone, but anyone that watches any of my live streams or Sammyboii's live streams know exactly the channels we're talking about. Just not only clickbaity titles and things, but just doing some outrageous stuff for donations and things like that. It's
I forgot about that.
It's a bit beyond what Star Wars YouTube should be. I know they're trying to get creative, but I think sometimes it's a bit much when you're doing some weird stuff on camera.
I think if you want to be very kind about it, you could say it's improvised terrible cosplay for money.
Definitely not PG worthy.
But it's the same.
That's the best explanation I've ever heard.
I'm trying to be PG rated. I could word it a lot better. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I reckon I've heard you word it better too.
Yeah, probably.
But the whole clickbait issue, it extends past like the gaming scene of Star Wars. I mean, there's one channel in particular, man, that he will post the most ridiculous things confirmed for episode 9, interviews that never happened, comic book series.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
He talks about like a comic book series that was never announced. Like, you go on the Marvel website, it's not there, but it brings clicks. So a lot of ones tend to do that as well. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, for sure. I think the same channel you're talking about actually just confirms things on their own will, and there's actually not really much to reinforce it. You know, they'll say, there was an interview with such and such from the Last Jedi cast that said this, and now this is confirmed. Like, it doesn't confirm anything. No. You know, movies and TV shows and even video games, they're always a work in progress. So things can change. You know, there's never anything confirmed. You know, it could be teased. You know, teased is probably a better word than confirmed, because confirmed is set in stone. You know what I mean? Like, that's locked in as, you know, that's as certain as Rey is going to be in episode 9. You know, if you're saying something is confirmed, that's certain, you know, whereas teased could still be removed. And I think people just need to look to word their titles better, but then that doesn't always bring in as many views as something clickbaity would.
You gotta go back to being creative. Like, I find the word speculation helps in search terms.
Absolutely.
I will do many things because, again, being a law guy, I'll just have like a crazy thought in my head, and then I'll see something in the movie that kind of reinforces it, and that does not make it confirmed in the slightest. That's just me as a fan going, oh well, I guess it's possible that this could happen. So that's something to talk about, and get a discussion going on. Because when it comes to Star Wars,
that's it. And I think something that I've found, like in the midst of a few dry patches through Battlefront 2, have been recently trying some different stuff to expand my channel into more of a broader Star Wars channel. Yeah. And the thing I did recently was a speculation video on the Knights of Ren. And I'm pretty sure you guys have both probably watched it by now, but it got a really, really good reception from my subscribers, and anyone that saw the video really enjoyed it and wanted me to do more and things like that. And I have more planned for the channel, but it didn't necessarily drive in views as like a Battlefront 2 video would. But that's not discouraging to me. As long as I'm getting good comments on it and it's people are enjoying what I'm putting out, it's more enjoyable to make. So I think people sometimes get lost in getting views and making money out of YouTube, which is not lucrative at all. Anyone that's monetized knows you don't make a lot of money from YouTube unless, you're like a PewDiePie or a Markiplier or something like that. You've got to have a lot of subs before you actually start to make money. So
I found for me it's the exact opposite. Battlefront videos that I do would be like the exact opposite for you in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But what about you, Sammy? Like, do you plan on doing anything else outside Battlefront 2 Star Wars related?
I reckon once, like outside of Star Wars, I reckon once Battlefield drops, I might sort of touch on it. I don't want to get too into it because I do want the channel to stay mainly Star Wars focused, but saying as it's like sort of a similar game to Battlefront, just without Star Wars attached to it, I thought I would probably touch on that a bit. But another thing that I will be doing is the Jedi Fallen Order. That's going to be like, I'd say when that comes out, that'll be like the main game on the channel. Yeah, that'll be me. Because by then I'd say Battlefront might have passed away by then. So
it'll be here to be on its last legs.
Yeah. So I'd say that like I'm always going to have like 70% Star Wars related stuff, but I probably will touch on little like other bits and pieces here and there just to give a bit of variety, like you guys are saying as well.
Yeah. Well, I started my channel around November, so pretty much when the game came out, and I was mainly planning on being a Battlefront channel. And then I don't know, over the course of the months, I just drifted away and just started talking about Star Wars. I find it's something I can talk about easily, as opposed to Battlefront 2. I don't really know what to talk about with that. So I guess everyone's just a little bit different in that regard. So I'm almost like the opposite to you two in a way, which is there's nothing wrong with that.
And I think something that's different about your channel, Lethal, and something that I actually really is your Hangout live streams. Like you do live streams at nighttime for us, obviously, but it'll be different depending on time zones. But you just you sit in front of your camera, you've got your comic books or the topics you want to talk about, and you just hang out and you chat with your subscribers. And it's really cool because it's not Battlefront related at all, but it's still, involves Star Wars, and it's engaging, and you've got good comments, and, your fan base, your subscribers really enjoy them. And personally, like I'll sit there and I'll hang out with everyone and chat with everyone in your chat. And it's just, for a smaller channel currently, you do really well at handling that. And I think your subscribers really enjoy it.
I'm blushing.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree with that. That's one of my the things that attracts me to your channel so much is just your opinion pieces. Like the one you put up the other day about the
the news
article. Yeah. All that stuff. I love watching all that stuff because I like it because you and I often see different opinions on each on Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
But it's good to see another opinion, and a lot of stuff I'll be set in stone, and then I'll watch one of your videos and go, oh, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, sort of thing. Yeah.
But it all comes.
And the thing is, you're not like other channels that go, this is what I think and it's right, and everyone else is wrong. Like you're so open to this is just what I think. Everyone else can think their own thing, which that's like a really attractive side to your channel, I think.
Because it all comes from,
and I've been the
passion of
same.
Star Wars. Like at the end of the day, it's Star Wars. So, and like I said, I find Star Wars is a topic I can talk about, and that means I want to listen to other people's discussions on it as well. Like, you wait till you two read Thrawn Alliances, I'll be talking to you about hours for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of why we originally started this, Sammy, and Lethal and I talk about this all the time. We have such different opinions when it comes to Star Wars, but we said this in the last podcast that I think will be going up on Lethal's channel tonight. We have such different opinions on, everything Star Wars, not necessarily just Battlefront 2, but, Episode 9 or the sequel trilogy or things like that. Like, we have different opinions, but we can have these mature and good conversations about it without it getting like snippy or getting mad or just like abusing the other person. You know what I mean? Like, you see that a lot in comments on videos or different things like that. Is just like Star Wars fans attacking each other, which is terrible.
Yeah.
I had a troll on my Clone Wars video the other day going through insulting everyone, saying if you like Clone Wars, it means you're a prequel fan retard. And I was like,
I did see that actually.
Have you heard me rant about the prequels? I am a trilogy fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree with that. If you can't have a mature discussion about Star Wars, I don't want to talk to you about Star Wars. That's why I did not get along with people at Lucasfilm.
Chuck Wendig.
Oh man, and that's another thing. Like the last thing he wrote was actually really good, but no one went out and read it because they hate him. So I'm like,
the Vader comic, right?
Yeah, that was good. Like, I loved it. I picked it up wanting to hate it, but I couldn't because it was good.
Yeah, that's it. And like at the end of the day, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're going to go after like the new Vader comics when they come out, or you're going to play Jedi Fallen Order when it releases. Like, there's stuff you need to do as a Star Wars fan to at least experience it once. So
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, well, I think we've ranted a bit there. I think we should move on to the next topic.
Yeah. No worries. So we're going to push forward. Yeah, there is definitely. We're going to push forward. We're going to talk about sort of not just growing a Star Wars channel, but personal experiences during the development of our channels. Obviously the three of us are at different stages. I've been around a little bit longer, and hitting just past 4K subs. Sammy's quite new at 1K subs, and Lethal's still down there pushing and grinding away to get over, to grind and get through it, but pumping out quality content as always. So what I want to know from you guys is just if you can think quickly off the top of your head, your personal experiences on growing your channel for starters, and then maybe an experience you've had during the course of your channel that really stood out to you and made you proud to be a YouTuber.
I think we'll let Sammy start as he's the guest.
Yeah, go for it, Sammy.
Right. Repeat the first part of the question again, just so I can refresh.
So just your experiences on how you started the channel and what inspired you and how it's been going so far.
Yeah. Well, it originally just started by like me and a bunch of mates we've been for years just uploading clips, like highlights and stuff to YouTube. And I don't know, when Battlefront came out, I got like hooked on it and I was uploading heaps and heaps of videos, and then I'd always be looking around for like stuff similar to what I do now, like guide videos and stuff like that. And there were a few, a lot of them were just like Quinn Knight stuff where it was just a brief like explanation of a character for a hero guide sort of thing. Yeah. And a lot of clickbait as well. So
and a lightsaber
I don't know. Yeah. So I thought like I may as well. I've been watching YouTube like gaming for 10 years probably. So I thought, why don't I give it a crack? And then, the first couple of months it's like, obviously for everyone, it's really slow. But then once you just try and keep like improving your stuff, you're bound to see growth. So it was pretty much for me, it was just to stick at it and keep trying to, each video I make, try and improve from the last one. And yeah, it's just sort of it is a grind, but it's gotten to the point now where it's just so like it feels so rewarding sort of thing. So it's if there's anyone else like watching out here that's a smaller channel, like the only tip I can really give is just to keep at it and just try and improve every video, and you will like it's not a matter of there is luck involved, but you will grow. It's just a matter of time, really.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Oh, that's tough.
One moment that sort of, made you feel really good about being a content creator. Or a couple.
Probably the video, probably the video that it was like a how to earn credits video that ended up it's like close to 20k views or something, which for my channel that's like crazy. I usually get about 500 views or something. So
right, for someone with sort of just subs,
like awesome. It just sort of blew up. And at the time I released it, I think I was either just under or just over 300. Yeah. So like literally overnight, I posted it thinking, like this might do slightly better than the other ones, but I woke up the next morning and it had like 5k views, and I was like, "What is going on here?" And then
you sort of double take at it, and not sure if it's real.
Over the next like, week or so, it was just like I'd check it every, I don't know, twice a day maybe, and it would just be like in that day it had gained like 2,000 views, and I was like, "Wow, this is just crazy." So that was probably the thing that stood out, and like at that point there's a bit of a dry patch for Battlefront, and I was getting the like, is this, is the channel ever going to grow sort of thing? And then that happened, and it was by far the thing that stands out the most, I think.
That's actually
cool. And Lethal, what about you?
I think one of the things that's really stood out to me is, like I said before, I love talking Star Wars, but there's been a few people that I've found in other people's streams, both you two and just other people that have just been talking Star Wars, and they've said something, and I've typed in going, well, have you ever considered blah 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 blah, and they've been like, no, but now that you mention it, and then we'll end up having like a bit of a discussion and all that, and then over the course of the discussions I'll change my point of view and he'll change his point of view, or she, whatever, and then they've managed to then they've decided to come over to my channel and they've asked me a question, start picking my brain. I just like really love that sort of stuff. Like, it's awesome to me. I love the whole engagement process of YouTube, and I think Star Wars is just absolutely awesome for that. You get to share your passion, share your fandom. I mean, and I've like gotten to the stage now where I've got less than 350 subs, but I've kind of have like in like Discords, for example, like I'm kind of referred to as like, well, what do you think of this? And someone will have a question to do with something.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I'm just happy to
You're sort of known as that, the person who, like, you obviously know a lot about it, so everyone sort of asks you, like, oh, what do you think about it?
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Your opinion's respected, for sure.
That's, and I respect other people's opinions, like, even if I don't agree with them. Like, there was someone that came from your Discord, Sammy, Douglas, champion, spoke to him, loved him.
Yeah.
Me and him wouldn't agree on the definition of the color red, but we could still see each other's point of view eye to eye, and respect that, and then keep going as well. And to me, that's just absolutely awesome.
I think something on that I just want to touch on quickly is the three of us, all being Australian and all being Star Wars related channels, whether it's Battlefront 2 or regular Star Wars stuff, we tend to share a lot of subscribers.
Exactly.
Between the three of our channels, we have regulars that are always in our streams, or they'll be watching us both stream at the same time, or things like that. So there's something really cool about that. We have this little community that follows all of us and enjoys the content we all put out, because we all put out different stuff. It may be similar, but we do have our own spin on it, and they respect all three of us to go and watch all of our videos or be in all of our streams at the same time, which is like having 3 tabs open and jumping streams isn't the easiest thing to do. So that's pretty cool that they're willing to do that. So,
but actually, just thinking about it, then I think my favorite moment of being on YouTube was one of your streams, Twisted, and it was just after Solo came out, and I was in your stream talking with you about the movie. And I went into this rant about why I didn't like the movie and how I absolutely hated the ending.
Yeah.
And just being surprised at how many people were like, I completely agree with you, and like it's not even my stream. And I think it was there was this one comment, it was from Lost Celestian, and it just says Lethal speaks the truth, and it was all in capitals.
Yeah.
I loved it. That was probably my number one moment. So shout out to Lost Celestian for that.
Yeah, that's it. And that's another example, like we said before, me and you not always agreeing on things. Like I enjoyed Solo and I liked the way it ended. So, you know, that's another thing that we had a discussion on. And like you said, the subscribers to both of us, they're going to have their own opinions, but they respect both of our opinions as well. So whether they like what we're saying or not, they can have an educated and mature conversation with us about it in the comment section, which is cool.
It's like what Palpatine says to Anakin. To understand the Force, you have to look at all its different interpretations, not just the dogma
yes.
of the Jedi.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
That is a really good point, actually. That's spot on. That is actually spot on.
That is good. I think that would lead into the next topic for tonight, and that's just talking about the overall community, like Star Wars YouTube community in general. So that's other channels, people that watch channels often, you know, that sort of stuff. Like, what do you think of that, Twister? Just opening thoughts on the community there.
Yeah, with that, a few things pop into my head as like a first thought. And different channels are going to have different communities. Obviously, like I said, our community is quite similar, but you watch some of the bigger dogs put out their videos and you see some of their comments on their streams and things. Like, there's different types of communities. You know, you may have a really hopeful and positive community, and you know they're really, really good with you know, how they interact with their subscribers and things like that. And then there are some that, you know, do the complete opposite and disregard their subscribers. Do you know what I mean? Like they aren't always willing to listen to what their subscribers say. And like you said before, Lethal, they just think whatever they say and whatever they put out is right, and there's no, you know, there's no changing that. There's no conversation to be had. So why subscribe to someone that's like that, you know? So having a good community is a big like part of YouTube, and having like positivity part, really. For me personally is the whole thing. You know, if my subscribers aren't having a positive experience when they're watching my channel or watching my streams, you know, that's on me. You know, that's me not putting out content that's being enjoyed by my viewers. So one thing I always try to do is include them or have them feel included or helped by my videos. So that's something that I like to take away from it.
Yeah, I like that. And then on top of that, you also got the other communities that seem to hate on a particular aspect, whether it be an era,
Battlefront 2,
a game, an era, Star Wars, anything to do with that.
I can think of a few communities like that.
And they just spend so much time dwelling on that thing that they hate. Like, don't get me wrong, man. Like, I'll be talking about something that I love about Star Wars, and then as I'll be talking about that, and I'll go, and that's why I don't like Last Jedi, because of that part. But they just don't include that part. They just keep going with the hate. And it gets to the point where it's like, especially with Battlefront 2, I mean...
It's played out.
Yeah, why are you still playing this game so much? I mean, I've dropped...
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, so yeah.
Taken many breaks from that game. And to be honest, man, that game gives me the absolute shit if I play it for more than 2 hours. So I play a different game. And I think it's as simple as that.
You go play Monster Hunter and rage some more.
It's the same with their channel in general, to be honest. Like, I think we're all talking about the same.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But, like, it kind of baffles me that they are still doing a channel just dedicated to hate. Like, if you know,
to something they
these
don't
channels,
enjoy.
they would have started out their channel because they enjoyed, whether it be a game or if it is just a movie or the whole movies in general, whatever. They would have started a channel because they love Star Wars or they love Battlefront or whatever. But now they dislike it, and rather than going like, all right, I don't really feel like playing this game anymore or watching the movies anymore, so I'll try and like change the focus of the channel, which obviously that's a hard thing to do, but
it can be done.
Rather than doing that, they just can't get it through their head that they don't have to do this and they can actually enjoy themselves what they're doing. They might not get as many views to start with, but it will grow back. Like, they came from 0 subs, so.
Well, I think on that, just to add to what you said, Sammy, one of the things I've noticed is people are going to sub to you for you, for your personality or your opinions or, what you think about certain things. And that's what a lot of content creators get confused. They get confused with, this isn't getting very many views because I've changed what I've done. But, if your subscribers like you as a person and your personality, specifically as a gamer as well, like, If they like your personality, it doesn't matter what game you're playing. If you're enjoying yourself and they like what what you're doing with your channel, essentially, you know, it's going to draw in positivity and comments and likes, and that's going to drive you up the search, and you're going to get views eventually. There's a process of switching your channel over from a certain game to multiple games or a different game. You know, it just takes time.
Yeah.
But some people are too impatient for that.
They think that, oh, I've started this thing and it has to be this thing forever. It's like, you know, if you get a job, say you go to uni and you get a job in this field, you don't have to stay in that field for the rest of your life. You can do whatever you want. And it's like they don't quite understand that. And they think, oh, I've been doing it for however long, I can't change it. But at the end of the day, they can do it. It just doesn't make sense to me. But, you know, each to their own, I guess.
If they have a big following, like a big community, and they find something very negative, maybe they can offer solutions, you know, just brainstorm ideas, you know.
Instead of just bashing it.
Yeah, that's what I tend to do, except more in Star Wars universe. Like, I kind of made a video addressing the whole Rey and Mary Sue thing, and I was just trying to think of ways, like, maybe they can make this work, you know. Don't get me wrong, I don't like the character, but what could they do that would make me like the character, would make others like the character, you know? Coming up with a possible idea.
Yeah, rather than just bashing on her sort of thing.
Yeah, there's a difference between constructive criticism and just straight out bashing something. Like it's, you know, I think, like you said, if you're not offering your opinion or a solution, you know, then you're just out there to hate on something, and you need to reassess what you're talking about.
And people aren't going to hang around for that. So every day is the same old hate train, making the exact same points.
Yeah.
At least add something, you know?
Yeah.
Man. Like, I've seen it.
Yeah, and I think subscribers get sick of it. Like, there's, you know, one of the channels we all know about that tends to hate on a certain topic, you know, a lot. And you can see it in their comments that, you know, more and more often people are like, oh, why are you still playing this if you don't enjoy it? Or why are you still doing this because, you know, you seem like you're just negative about it all the time. It's just like, you know, one of those things makes you, when you see it, you see another content creator that's struggling with not enjoying what they're doing. You know, it's like, that's when it's time for a change. You've got to do something there. Otherwise, you're just going to get over it and you're going to end up, you know, not progressing any further.
All right, I think we'll move on to a different aspect of the community, and that's more of a, well, not so much community, but more just like as a content creator, the pros and the cons covering Star Wars related topics. Do you want to start, Sammy?
Well, just in terms of the pros, there's a couple of things. And the biggest thing, which we've already touched on, is the community that you build. You know, your subscribers and your fan base is something that's really awesome. And if it's underappreciated, you know, it's just going to go away. So I really try to make sure that I'm really responsive to my community. You know, I go through every video that I post and I reply every single comment, you know, and at 4K subs, you know, sometimes you get a lot of comments. You may put a video and within 2 or 3 days, you've got 100 comments. You know, I make sure I go through and I reply to everyone because I love the community that I've built. And that's one of the biggest pros of being a content creator. So I like to give back to them for watching me.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. And, you know, there are other pros that may seem more appealing to certain others, you know, like I was lucky enough when I was just over 1,000 subs to get discovered by Matt, who was the former community manager for Battlefront 2. And I think he saw one of my videos, and actually that's when Game Changer program opportunity came up. I was near 1,000 subs. So it just shows that it can happen to anyone. I think a pro is, as long as you're working on your content, like Sammyboiii said before, if you're just trying to get better and better and better at every video that you make, it's going to pay off. And that's one thing that definitely paid off. You know, I got to get flown out to Sweden and test stuff, you know, and give feedback for Battlefront 2. So there's definitely more pros than cons, because honestly, my only con list is you'll occasionally get someone that tries to troll you or someone that's negative, and really one person out of 1,000 that's going to be negative.
Happen to anyone, because, you know, in the grand scheme of things, you know, 1K is not that big. And he was still able to get selected out of God knows how many other channels are out there with over 10K that didn't get selected for that sort of stuff. So I think that just shows, you know, anyone can be anyone really, which is a good thing. Like, it's more about the person, like you said before, not the channel, the person behind the microphone, behind the camera, the one that's holding the controller. That's what they tend to focus on when they're looking for stuff like that, for game changes and all that. It's not how good you play the game, it's what you can offer to the game. So I think in that regard, that's
exactly.
what you got picked. And your turn, Sammy. I kind of just went off the rails a bit there.
Same as you said, the pros of it is just like, it's weird to say, but like we each have our own little communities. It's like people look up to us, which, you know, I'm just an average bloke. It's weird to say like, oh, I have followers and stuff. And it's so cool to have, you know, especially with like Discord and on Twitter and stuff. It's cool having like a group of people that like you can post something, you know, you can ask a question on Twitter or something like that. Within, you know, an hour, you've got all these responses. Whereas if you just like if you don't have the channel or you don't have a community or whatever, you often just find yourself like not having that opportunity. So I reckon it is pretty cool to like have your own community, and like the amount of people that I've met through doing the channel, like for example, you guys and like so many people in my Discord that I would have never met if I didn't do it. So yeah, that aspect of it is by far my favorite bit. Like people probably think YouTubers do, I mean, some do, but people think that they do it for themselves. But to be honest, I am at the point I'm just doing, you know, the guide videos and stuff for subscribers because that's something they want. And it's fun to make for them. So that's definitely the pros side of it. And then, like you said, the cons, there's not too many, but there's always going to be haters, especially with something as big as Star Wars. There's just always someone that's going to come along. Like Lethal, you would have seen last night actually on the stream, there was just this guy out of nowhere came through and he just said, I actually missed the comment because it got deleted quick enough, but pretty sure he just said like, oh, like no one cares about this game and stuff like that. And then he was just saying, calling everyone a loser and stuff. And it's just like, that aspect of it is a downside. But at the same time, it like, I don't know, I've got thick skin, so that sort of stuff, even if someone has a full on like crack at you, to me, I just go, well, everyone else enjoys it, so like you can, you know, go find another channel that you enjoy. Like you don't have to be here. It is definitely
they choose to be on your channel.
Yeah, exactly. See, it is definitely a con, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal.
Other like, especially in a stream, if someone comes on like that, there's people on the stream that will just fire back at them and just say like, "Hell."
Your loyal subscribers that'll have you back anytime. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you would know I'm twisted. I don't know about you, Sammy, but that account, Cool Cat Gamer, who says the most vile, disgusting things you'll ever hear about Rose DK. Oh man, I wouldn't want to troll him. He'll wreck you. But in terms of what I really like, and one of the main reasons why I ended up doing this channel is I just want to talk to more people about Star Wars. You know, like, obviously I got all my friends and family here that I can talk to about it, but some of them aren't as well versed as I am, and you know, and some other things. And just to get like a more, you know, it's worldwide. Like maybe I want to talk to someone else, you know, also just about Star Wars in general. You know, talk about the latest Star Wars comic book. You know, can compare notes on the latest Thrawn novel, stuff like that. And being more of a Legends fan myself is, you know, there's whole communities that are just dedicated to Star Wars Legends, and I found that through my channel as well. You know, apart from what you two guys were saying about the inner community and all that, you know, you're able to find outer communities as well, like in just ones that are dedicated to, like, I'm a Vader fanboy, like I say it all the time, I'm the Knight of Ren. People want to know where the Knights of Ren were in episode 7, mate. They were in the theatre watching it because I'm one of them. That's how much I'm a Vader fanboy. And no, seriously, where were they? But you know what I mean? Like I can just get together with like other Vader fanboys and we can just geek out about Vader, and I've managed to do that through the channel, and that's what I absolutely love. That's my favourite thing about it, is just having discussions and all that. And in terms of negativity, well, the type of content I do can attract grumpy people that don't agree, and that just comes back to what you were saying before, Sammy and Twisted. Like, if you can't have a mature conversation, I don't really want anything to do with you. But what I do can really upset some people that don't agree. That's kind of the worst thing for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like with your channel, it's like you get a lot of people that disagree, but you know that's not necessarily a bad thing. But then there's the ones who disagree and they like hate on you for it. That's when it becomes a problem.
Well, I mean, like,
closed-minded.
Half the people probably disagree with me. It's probably like a 50-50 split, but it's the conversation that's important. You know?
Yeah.
I got like half my subscribers like The Last Jedi. I think they're all insane, but but you know what I mean? Like, we can talk about it respectively and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just get that one person that comes along on my Clone Wars video and says, you're all prequel fan retards. One, you're wrong. I don't really like the prequels.
Yeah, there's a lot of grumpy people out there. I think that like I'd like them to take a look at themselves and think like, what am I actually doing? Just going around to these channels and like hating like what am I achieving?
Yeah,
I'm not gaining anything. Mate. Yeah,
keyboard warriors.
I can understand like if they disagree. Like one thing I encourage is if you disagree, tell me why, and then we'll talk about it. We'll compare notes. But just to come out and say you're a prequel retard, okay, tell me what it is you don't like about the prequels then, I probably agree with most of it, to be honest, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel in terms of negativity. But alright, on to the final topic here. What do you think in general, just the future of Star Wars on YouTube looks like for yourself and just in general? Start with Sammyboiii this time.
Star Wars in general, it really, to me, it depends on how episode 9 goes, I think.
You think it could potentially
if that
take the series
kind of flops, if that kind of flops, then it's going to take a long time, and it might never happen. Star Wars might never get back to the glorious name that it's always been. So to me, it's over the next 5 years, Star Wars is going to set the tone for itself. It's going to sort of, they need to make good movies for it to keep going, or else it'll just become like, Marvel's doing well, but I personally don't like the stuff they're doing. They're just pumping out too many movies and stuff, and it's going to end up like that, where it does well financially, but all us like hardcore fans might just go, oh, this isn't that great. So the YouTube side of it, it'll probably be affected as well. Like if Star Wars is struggling, it's gonna, some people will profit from it because they're the hate channels, but in general, I think it'll suffer. But it just depends on how Star Wars goes, I think. And then same for Battlefront, really. It's just, if they can manage to turn the game around, then it could get better. If the game dies off, then it's gonna be tough. But yeah, it really, to me, just depends on the next 2 to 5 years of just the movies and stuff like that. The Clone Wars as well, like that's another big thing. What about you guys?
Well, first of all, what does that mean for your channel then?
Well, it's the same sort of thing. Like if Jedi Fallen Order does really well, like that'll be good for my channel, because that's what I'm going to focus it on once it comes out. But it's the same thing. If that has a bad launch like Battlefront, and then if Battlefront's dead by then as well, then I'll have to sort of reevaluate and go, okay, like what, I don't think I'll ever give up on the channel, but I'll have to sort of take a step back and go, okay, well, this isn't probably going to work anymore, so how can I fix it, sort of thing. So yeah, it's the same thing. I just got to wait and see, and play it as it comes, I guess.
Worst case scenario, Battlefront 2 doesn't survive the year. Fallen Order comes out. Anyone can finish the game in 3 hours. So you've just got like absolutely nothing to talk about with the game.
Yeah.
So you think then you'll just have to kind of take a step back and go through your own
Yeah, I think I'd probably hopefully by then, like already I've got a good little, I have like what, you have your loyal subs that if you played My Little Pony, they'd probably watch you, sort of thing. So
Minecraft.
So I'll always probably just do it as a hobby, I would love to make a career out of it one day, but for me, it's not the main thing. I'm just enjoying it and having fun. So if that was to happen, I'd probably just, I might take a little bit of time off, like take a few weeks off and just brainstorm and just go, all right, what's something else that I'm passionate about and want to do? And then try and just like sort of shove it in that direction and just see how it goes from there, I guess.
Yeah, the future on YouTube, like Sammy was saying, it's going to depend on the movies and what Disney's plan for it is. I think he made a good point with the Marvel movies. They just, at this point, they feel a little bit oversaturated because we're just getting too much of it. And, personally, I love the Marvel movies, most of them anyway, but I haven't even gone to see Ant-Man and the Wasp yet because it's just like, oh, it's just another one. We just had Infinity War. We got another one. So I think Star Wars needs to avoid going that route and taking every single little thing about Star Wars and making a movie.
Yeah.
I'm easy to please, maybe an Old Republic movie or series or something.
Oh, well.
Would absolutely love that.
That would completely change everything, an Old Republic movie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Imagine just waking up in the morning, revving cannon. You're like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah. If they gave us something like that, I'd be over the moon.
Star Wars is back, boys.
Like I said, the the future of Star Wars YouTube in general is going to depend on Episode 9, like Sammy said. There's going to be a lot of theory videos going around when that's swirling. And I think for the future of my channel, like I said before, I'm trying to expand a little bit outside of just Battlefront. But I'm learning, you know, I'm currently learning. I don't have nearly the of Star Wars lore as someone like you, Lethal, but I'm reading novels, you know, I'm researching things like you do, and I'm really learning a lot more. And I think that's something that I want to bring to my channel in the future, is my experience of going through and learning more about the Star Wars universe, sharing my thoughts on that stuff with subscribers, as well as, you know, just collection stuff like the video I did recently with the Darth Vader helmet. A lot of people responded to that really well, so more stuff like my collection and things like that. So yeah, that's probably my future. But as far as YouTube, I think, yeah, it could be okay, but you're always going to have people hate Disney for taking over Star Wars.
Well, one thing that I really enjoy seeing, and you're doing it a lot, is people when they start getting more into like the lore of Star Wars and they start talking about it more. And I've noticed you're doing it as well. Like, every now and then I'll just get like a random question from you. I'm like, what the fuck does he want? I'm like, oh, dude, Revan did it in this, that, and this, that. But I love answering them, you know what I mean? Like, people expanding like what they know and all that, and just asking those questions. Like, again, that comes back.
Yeah, like I'm constantly coming to you. Like, I would have just read something in a book, or you know, heard something in an audio book. Dude, I need to talk to Lethal about this. Like, I've got to find out more, you know, like one character we've been talking about a lot lately is Scourge.
Yeah, Lord Scourge.
And he's just an absolute beast. And, you know, like, he's a character that I've only just been introduced to in the Revan novel. And I love it. You know, he's now, you know, probably one of my favorite Legends characters. Like, I think he's all, like, my knowledge of Legends is pretty poor at the moment, but, you know, as of right now, I think he's awesome. And, you know, me and you could talk about him for ages, and, you know, we have little jokes about him and stuff like that in your streams. But I think that's one thing that's really cool about just Star Wars fans in general, is whenever you learn something new, there's always someone you can talk to about it. And that discussion really is enjoyable, definitely.
I think the last few times I've played PlayStation with you, as soon as you've joined the party, like one of the first things you would say is, "Oh, I'm about 2 free chapters more in," and
yeah. Or I'm like, "Dude, this just happened," or "Oh my God, Scourge is a savage," like things like.
Well, I actually just did something very similar to both of your Discords. I'm reading Thrawn Alliances, and something happened, and I don't want to spoil it. I was like, I want to talk about it right now, but I don't want to spoil it. So I just typed in something hardcore just happened.
Waiting for that audio book.
I think, like, in terms of Star Wars on YouTube, I think it's always going to thrive. It's always going to be, you know, something that people will talk about in some way, shape, or form. There's always something to talk about with Star Wars. Always. And I don't think that's even going to change. Even if Episode 9 is absolutely the most terrible movie ever made, tanks the franchise, everything gets cancelled after that, there's still Legends, and then people will move over to Legends, and then you can just keep talking about that, and then say people don't even want to talk about Legends anymore, you know, they want to do their own thing, man. Then you got people like Star Wars Theory does a lot of fan fiction stuff, and many other people do that stuff, and, you know, I think it's always going to be there. And
well, there's always Star Wars fans, isn't there? You know, you don't just stop being a Sar Wars fan.
The franchise
wake up one day and say,
"Oh, fandom didn't."
that's exactly it. You know, you don't just wake up and say, "Oh, I don't like Star Wars anymore." No, like, that doesn't happen. They're always going to be there, and I think as long as there's an audience for it, there's going to be YouTubers for it. So
yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to lead into with, like, in terms of what I think it would mean for me as a Star Wars channel, is I'm always going to find something to talk about, whether it's a rant about something or something that I think deserves more attention, or comparing something to something else, you know, or my general thoughts on some announcement. Like, it's always going to be there. So I think in that regard, Star Wars on YouTube is safe, perfectly safe, even if Episode 9 is terrible.
Definitely. Well, I think that's pretty much most of the topics we wanted to cover tonight. That's it. Yeah, so that's actually a little bit of a long for us. You know, we don't always go for as long as we have, but, you know, it's good to get discussion with both of you guys and get your opinions and thoughts on certain topics. So I appreciate both of you tuning in. You know, Lethal, you're always here, but Sammyboiii, thank you to you as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's been good fun, and I'm keen to watch it back when it's up.
Yeah, for sure. I was just about to say that. Yeah, we'll get you back on. Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to the next episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely go check out Lethal Lightning. and Sammyboiii on YouTube and also on Twitter. I will have links down in the description to their channels as well as the Discord, so you can chat with all of us and our subscribers. So appreciate you all for tuning in once again. I am the Twisted Jedi, and may the Force be with you always.
The Sith are all powerful. You are no match for me.